Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Clonestar podcast. I am your host, Mike Overton, and joining me in the co-host seat this week is my wonderful friend from the north of England. It is Michael Goodwill, aka Mike number two. Mike number two, how are you doing, sir?
I am so glad to be back on Clonestar, Mike number one. Thank you so much for having me. I am well. How the devil are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
That's fantastic.
So, we have got a friend of the channel and previous guest who is best known for his phenomenal work creating movie and TV show posters. He has created some incredible Star Trek posters, the latest Transformers 1 poster, along with the redesign of Star Wars The Phantom Menace's poster. It is the wonderful Matt Ferguson, aka Cakes and Comics. Matt, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yo, how are you guys doing?
Yes, I'm good. Thank
well.
you. So this week we are going to talk all about Lower Decks because it's still probably one of my favorite Star Trek shows. And with season 5 about to drop around the corner, who else to talk to it with than Matt, who has just finished designing the season 5 poster work. Matt, first off, the poster is phenomenal.
Thank you.
I can't wait to buy it. I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but I can't wait to buy it.
You need a bigger house.
Well, there's actually going to be 3.
Oh,
spoilers.
You need another room.
So there's another 2 to come out. I've said it online. I'm sure I've said it on Twitter.
Okay.
There's more coming.
If not, you've heard it here first. There's 2 more coming.
Yeah.
It's
So-
exclusive right here.
Before we kind of delve into Lower Decks as a whole, how did the season 5 poster work come about?
I spoke to somebody randomly on Instagram who works on the show, and they were like, "We like your artwork here at this place. I can't remember this place."
Titmouse?
I don't know, probably. And then I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I was like, "I like Star Trek. I'd like to do the parody poster for season 5 because they do those parody posters of like the."
Yeah,
Like the original Bob Peak style posters from the old movies. And then they were like, yes, but we'd want you to do the key art, which is the art that's going to be like on the billboards, on the apps, on the everything when they announced it the other week. So I was like, oh, okay. Because, like a parody poster, a bit fun. Not a massive job, and then this ballooned into a massive job, and then I made more work for myself by going like, I'll still do the parody poster though. They were like, we're going to do this one in house, so it's fine. I was like, no, I'm doing it. So that's how that came about, and then we just worked for several months together on it.
I mean, I love it. It is a really cool poster. I think it is my favorite Lower Decks poster to date. So on that note, then for the key art, it's obviously not just a portrait poster.
No.
How many different variations are there?
Right, so you have like the way they work, which is not how I usually would do this, is they have a massive artboard that's like 50 by 100 inches or something insane. And then within that, they have the cutouts for the different sizes. So like your banner, your portrait, your square, and then you have to sort of make the art work within that. So
got you. So it's almost like it's just one
so they pay
massive
you for
thing with
for
loads of
one massive image, but then it's also got to work within all these other ones. So that they can just have that as a master file to send to all the different places, because like it's an app in how many different countries. It's easier just to go, here's the file, use it for any sort of size that you want. So then the challenge that's different is usually when I would do a poster, I would make the poster.
Yeah.
And then if they need different sizes or ratios, I would just do that after and just like edit it and give them different files. Because this is one file, you've got to come up with the artwork that will fit all those different versions in one.
Right.
So it's a real challenge.
Yeah. You kind of have to work in reverse.
The different layers that you can get is you can have like obviously the titles in different places, but the base art is basically the same on every one. Yeah.
Is there like a massive file out there that's like really wide with loads of just dead space around it?
Yeah, I did some. Yeah, but I painted stuff in, so I did some
Yeah.
planets, and I did Starbase, and I did like a little person in a spacesuit floating off, and some asteroids and stuff. I was like, I can't just have it nothing. So I did a lot more asteroids than I needed to, for example. But yeah, no, the file was something like 40 gigabytes.
Ooh.
And
It's
over 3,000 layers.
I mean, I know so I'm currently working on a Sovereign class deck plan cutaway in the Picard era colorway. And I know typically with those, especially the bigger ships like that or the Enterprise F, they're about 3,500, 4,000 layers.
Yeah.
And that's only 15 gig maybe at a push.
It's just because of the massive size, because it's got to be like going up to billboard scale and stuff like
I suppose,
that.
and also I'm working in vector as well, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is just bitmap in Photoshop, because I just work like by hand, so I can do it all.
You're a Wacom man.
Yes.
Okay. Thoughts on iPad Pro? Curiosity.
Tried it. I've got one.
Okay, because the new pencil is really cool with the barrel roll. But I don't know
once your brain's been hardwired to work a certain way, with a certain kind of hardware, it's very difficult for me to then sort of retrain. So I'd do it if I had to, like if Wacom went out of business and they weren't making any more, and then my only option was that. It's a bit like how I grew up playing video games as mouse and keyboard, and it took me at least like a year to retrain myself to play console now that I have an Xbox.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole different. You're playing the same game. You're playing a first-person shooter or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different wiring of your brain, and it's the same with working on artwork.
You have to retrain muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is drawing, basically.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I fully get that. So let's roll on then to Lower Decks. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Goodwill.
Oh.
Lower Decks. Lower Decks.
Lower Decks is good.
Who is your favorite character?
See, this is a really difficult one, because Star Trek has always been about the ensemble. It's never been about one singular character, for the most part. But for me...
Please tell me it's Agnes.
Everything, if it's just Jeffrey Combs, just as an entity. For me, though, I love every single one of the crew. I love Jack Ransom. I love Mariner. I love Boimler. I love Ta'ana. It's a really difficult answer for me, because everyone will go, "Oh, I love Mariner. I love Boimler because he's just full of anxiety and that mirrors my life." And I'm like, no, because in shows like this, it's the side characters that really grab my attention. And you've got Dr. Ta'ana, you've got Shax that just wants to blow up things or eject the warp core all the time. Billups, where he finally got his backstory. I think it was in season 2.
Yeah.
And
Prince,
where he was a prince. So for me, it's really difficult, but I kind of I love Agamus. I do not, under any circumstances, like Peanut Hamper.
No, I'm the same.
I think that's by design, though, surely, right?
Yeah. I just can't. I just can't. There is no redeeming qualities at all. But for me, I don't love one single character. I love them all equally as an ensemble, because together they all work as one dysfunctional crew. And as they said in season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy, I've not seen a more dysfunctional ship since the USS Cerritos. And statistically, they are also the horniest ship in Starfleet.
True. That is very true. I think for me, the one character I always seem to go back to is Badgie. I love Badgie. Badgie as a whole. I mean, I got really excited when the fan pops dropped, when the pop vinyls dropped. I mean, it's fantastic. And I obviously saw the one that everyone was posting around on when it got released was Mariner and Boimler. And it's like, I wish they would do a badgie. And then I scrolled down and yes, they've done a badgie. And that was the first one I bought. Sod the
Will
rest of them.
you
I want the badgie.
will you be getting the Badgie plushie from Master Replicas?
No.
Fair enough.
I will, because I like those things. I've got a plushy Unicron down there for Transformers.
See,
I like a plushy thing.
Oopsie.
I have a Moopsie down here.
Moopsie's good, yeah.
Moopsie is is my close second, purely because it is just that adorable, crazy little monster. But
It's like something off of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
yes,
But that's what Moopsie is.
it's kind of like
It's
an
like-
adipose mix with something else.
It's the sort of thing they do on Doctor Who where they have a cute character that turns out to be
what's
they've done
that?
it loads of times on Doctor Who.
Oh, there was that new one on the Christmas special. Wasn't
From the comic book, yeah.
whatever it was called. I can't remember what it's called. I'm not a massive Whovian, so
Not me.
sorry,
yeah.
Ellie. In
I know
advance.
what you mean.
It's Moopsie is like, what if Pokemon could kill? And that's what it is. So it's Moopsie, because it even says its name all the time. So it's like it's a killer Pokemon. That's what it is. You just need to contain it in a ball so it doesn't escape.
What does it like suck out their bones and guts and
drinks
stuff?
the bones.
Drinks the bones. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's perfect. Matt, if you had to pick a favorite character, who would it be?
And the same as Mike down there. There's too many good ones, really.
Okay.
I think what I like is that out of all of the new Trek, for me, it's got that classic thing of Next Generation as an ensemble, but also with Mariner and Boimler in particular, it has that kind of Kirk Spock thing that they've not done in Star Trek outside of the original series. And it's so, I know it's very Next Generation, but it's also very original series in that regard, and I like that about it. So I think I'm going to say Bradwood and Mariner together.
Yeah,
because they work together.
They bounce off each other a lot, don't they? So
they learn from each other, and they're like the younger version of them, which I could talk about further later on in the podcast.
So, if you had to pick an episode that resonated with you the most, Mike number 2, what episode would that be? Now, bear in mind, this can be any episode from any of the 4 seasons. Hotel and Resort. No.
Path Ferengi's Heart Place.
I love that episode.
That, for me, it's quintessentially Lower Decks, but it's also quintessentially Star Trek, because you have the Star Trek universe is so unique, because when you get cameos or when you get walk-ons or when you get any mention of anything in most franchises, it's like, look at this. Like, if you look at Star Wars, it's like Tatooine, and you're like, there is more than one planet in the galaxy, stop going to Tatooine. But with Star Trek, it's like, oh, we're going to Ferenginar, all right, that's cool. Oh, well, we're going to DS9, all right, that's cool. And with Path Ferengi's Heart Place, it was just, we start to see chinks in Mariner's armor, and we see Boimler at his most Boimlerist, shall we say, where he's like, he wants to go, he's like, I'm going to do all the things and review Ferenginar, and he just gets hooked on sitcoms and soaps.
Adverts.
Like the
adverts.
The Ferengi cop show.
Hockendar, Cup Landlords. I love that. I really loved it so much. But then it gets very meta as well, where they're going on about advertisements for Slugger Cola, and he's like, they put brands in the thing. Who would buy that? And you just see the Paramount Mountain in the background and the little chinks of stars and stuff. For me, it's, like I said, it's got everything. It's got Ferengis, it's DS9 references, the Dominion War. It's very Lower Decks, but you get to see the start of more depth to Mariner, because I think with season 4 we saw that we saw a deeper insight into her life and into her, what happened
I mean, her
before she joined.
backstory kind of filled in a bit more with the whole Sito backline and, and everything else. And the other thing is what I think with that, especially, is that we actually realize how old Mariner is.
Yeah. It's we did the maths when we reviewed this episode. We did the maths. She was about 30, 32, 33.
And that is some specific
for
figuring
an
stuff out.
ensign. Yeah,
Jesus
for
Christ,
an
guys,
ensign.
come on. Really?
We have to
I
get
don't
the
give a
figures.
shit.
We need the numbers.
Yeah.
But Lower Decks as a whole, though, like I said, it's that is my favorite episode. But it just shows when you go into it, Titmouse and Mike McCannon's level of detail when it comes to the show and all the tiny little things, the memorial for lost prophets or
I love the memorial for lost prophets. Just the fact
so many lost prophets.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get any more Ferengi than an entire memorial about lost money.
But it's a testament to the level of love that they put in to Lower Decks. And the one thing I've always loved about Lower Decks is they carry on the tradition of the star dates being exactly how they should be. So starting at the Next Generation, it was like 4-1, then season 2 was 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, and Lower Decks just carries that on.
Yeah,
and it's like it's 5 this. So like a geek like me can look at that and go, this took place exactly 18 years since the Next Generation started.
And then that's how you can age Mariner.
And that's how you can age Mariner as well. And it's just, I love it. But for me, that is currently, because we haven't seen season 5 yet, that is currently my most favorite episode. But it's really hard to narrow them down because you've got Crisis Point in there, and you've got so many other brilliant episodes. Yeah,
Crisis Points are great.
Season 5's good.
Okay, well,
I'm going to add something.
No spoilers. We don't want to know.
I'm hoping, touch wood, that we should get screeners, so I should be able to see.
There'll be a lot of chat about it online anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, if there was an episode that resonated with you the most, what would it be?
What, personally?
Yeah.
The one that I always think of is the one where it kicked in for me as a show. I think it might be season 2 somewhere. The one with the duplers.
Yep.
Is that right? Is that what they're called? Where they duplicate when they're embarrassed?
Yes.
First of all, that's a great concept that they would never really be able to do on the live action.
No.
It'll probably cost too much. And it's funny. But then it's got the A-B plot going on, and then when they finally go to the bar, and it's got the Kirk and Spock, and it sort of like just goes. It sort of tells me what they're aiming for with this show. I was like, okay, so they're aiming for it to be as good as the original. That's where they're going, and it was quite affecting to me, that one. That was where it really all clicked in, because I enjoyed it. I thought it was a funny show. But that one, they sort of seemed to just really take off after that episode for me, personally. So, yeah, that one. Because it's doing stuff that they can't do in Star Trek normally, and it also is like a real signpost of like intentions.
To be fair, that character is hilarious. Just he's
brilliant.
constantly going, I'm so sorry, did I do this?
And then what they have to just scream at him.
And then Freeman just gives it to him straight and shouts at him, and then he just kind of, it's almost like Russian nesting doll back into himself again. It's brilliant.
Really good. And it's like those when there's an A-B plot is always my favourite in Star Trek. It's the best. And it's like a self-contained episode, even though there's stuff that carries on character-wise.
Yep.
The main thing is dealt with. Great.
I think for me, it's Tuvix.
Oh,
purely
that is a good one.
Purely for the Voyager sex shots. That's the only reason. Jason did an incredible job animating them. That and the Neelix cheese.
The Borg salamander. Come on.
No, the Borg salamander's rubbish. It's all about the Neelix cheese and those sexy shots of Voyager from in space dock. It's like, oh, that for me was the icing on the cake, I think.
Mm.
And then I think the fact that when Prodigy then kind of borrowed the idea for the Voyager A, also
Yeah, I've not seen Prodigy. Is it worth watching?
100%, absolutely.
Right.
You need to go and buy the DVDs 8 times and then watch it on Netflix on repeat, so we can make sure we get a season 3. Yeah,
it's like that with Transformers 1. Everybody needs to go see Transformers 1 6,000 times.
Yeah.
Support your cartoons about space.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I just wish we were going to get a season 6, but hey, you know, as I say, all good things must come to an end, which, yeah, it does suck.
5 seems to be also like the modern go-to.
Yeah.
Like in my brain, it should
5.
be 7, but it's nowadays it's like 5 is a lot for a TV show, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but if you think about it, go back to the early days, like the earlier days to the Trek of old, you know, TNG was like 23, 24 episodes over 7 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're getting 10 episodes or maybe a little bit more, but 10-ish episodes over, you know, 5 seasons.
yeah, with the main sort of live action ones, that they go, it's bigger, isn't it? The production's more, they go more for
but even then,
feature film feel to it all.
Yes, but again, they're still 10 episodes a season.
Yeah, exactly.
The only one that's different was Prodigy, but that's because they've done 20 episodes, but their episodes are slightly shorter. They're about 20 minutes a piece.
Yeah.
So they're almost like you're still getting your 10 episodes, but because it's for children, they've just cut it up into smaller chunks.
I'm interested about them doing TV film of the week stuff. So like this, is it Section 31? I think there should be more streaming films because they don't seem to be able to support the budget for a big feature. It won't make enough profit. But for streaming, on a smaller budget, the Star Trek that thrives on a smaller budget it always has anyway. So that would be the way to go. And we've just started talking about other stuff now.
Yeah.
Welcome to me derailing things. What were we talking about before?
Star Trek, no. Star Wars, no. I'm joking. I tell you what, the one thing I did find really funny. I can't remember the episode title off the top of my head. It's escaped me, but is when they went to Tatooine.
Oh, in season 4.
In season 4.
Yeah.
Was it? Is it episode 5?
I think it's
It's not 5, it's 6.
Who's gone to Tatooine?
So, hang on. It's
Boba Fett?
No, so I can't remember. I'm trying to just remember which. It was episode 9. In episode. Was it? No. Yes, it was episode 9. Rutherford, Shax, etc. go to a planet to find some information on Locarno, on Nick Locarno, and literally the entire planet is modelled on. It literally is a rip of Tatooine.
Yes,
I don't remember this.
Do you not remember that?
No.
Yeah, the entire thing was like a rip off.
Clearly wasn't paying attention. I'll be watching it all again, don't worry.
Freeman thought that the Starfleet way was the best way, and it just heroically backfires on her in a cantina on Tatooine.
On a desert planet that happens to have the same fountain, the same houses.
Okay.
Two suns.
2 suns, yeah.
Well, that's fine.
So yes, it was on Muds. That was it. It was Muds to Cantina.
By Harry Mudd.
I'm presuming so.
Yeah.
But again, nice little Easter egg there. Something that Lower Decks does extremely well are those little Easter eggs. And those little nuggets that, to be fair, a lot of normal people would completely forget about. Us diehard
not realise
there
is an Easter egg, but it doesn't. It's when they don't ruin the entertainment to show.
Yeah.
So like sometimes stuff is like they'll throw in things, but in this legacy media stuff that we all live off nowadays.
Yeah. And it's also
and if you don't know it, then you can't enjoy the show. But with Lower Decks, I feel like if you didn't know all of that stuff, you could still enjoy the show because the characters are so good and so well written.
I mean, Lower Decks got my other half into Star Trek, and there's me sitting there watching it going, oh my God, that's hilarious because of X, Y, Z. And he's looking at me like, I have no idea what you're going on. But it's a great show. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
it's the beauty of Lower Decks. It's for hardcore Trekkies, and it's for casual Trekkies, and it's also for non-Trekkies.
It's kind of like
brings them in.
Fan service done well, where it doesn't. It's not like the only thing that it's got going is like cameos and Easter eggs and stuff. The main bulk of it is actually character driven.
Yeah. And great story writing and great animation. And I think adult animation also breaks down a lot of barriers as well. I think a lot of adult animation is a lot easier to watch for people that aren't really into that kind of genre. Like, you know, I mean, I know people that absolutely hate adult animation, but they'll sit there and happily watch Family Guy. But they wouldn't want to watch Rick and Morty, for example.
Because it's sort of sci-fi tinged.
Yeah, and I think Lower Decks kind of breaks down those barriers a little bit. Yes, it's sci-fi, but it's also a lot of fun. It doesn't get too, I would say, too heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, there's techno babble and everything else, but it's not really complicated. It's the storylines are great and they're easy to follow.
Yeah, it's nice, fast paced.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the perfect lunchtime show. I like it. I like it at lunchtime. I'll chuck it on at lunch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're about 25 minutes long.
And
most people get half an hour for lunch. So there you go. You can binge Lower Decks on your lunch breaks. So if you had to introduce someone to Lower Decks, what would be the episode that you would recommend they watch, Captain Goodwill?
Season 1, episode 1. Without a doubt. You can't. We get this a lot in Star Trek. What episode of this season would you introduce if you want someone into Star Trek? Oh, well, it's this one from Voyager. It's this one from DS9. No, for Lower Decks, it is a love letter to Star Trek fans by Star Trek fans.
Yep.
Season 1, episode 1, because even if you are a non-Trekkie, you know what's going on. You get an exposition with all the characters. You see Tendi joining the Cerritos, so we're sort of joining the ship at the same time she is and discovering all this wonderful craziness that goes on. And really, you have to start at the beginning because there is just so much to see. There's so much to enjoy. There's so much to love about these characters.
Yep.
They are so charming and endearing in their own special ways. Praise be to the space koala as well. But yeah, it's just season 1, episode 1. Come on, guys. What is not to love about each and every episode of Lower Decks?
Yeah.
It deserves, every single episode deserves to be watched, deserves to be loved, and deserves to be revered for what it is.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think the best episode to get someone into it is the first one, and just work your way through it.
My answer is slightly different. So this is what a friend of mine who had never watched Star Trek. This is a few years ago. I got him. He's an artist as well. I got him into Star Trek by just berating him non-stop to watch Next Generation. He started watching Next Generation. He was like, "This is crap." And I said, "You've got to watch Series 1 and Series 2. Because I did, and you got to get through it, and then it'll get good. You'll see." And then
you need your pain.
He got through it, and then he was like, "This is the best TV show." And I was like, "But if you've not had that bit, then you don't have that bit." And I think Lower Decks finds its feet towards the end of season 1, but you've still got to start at the beginning.
Yeah,
and because you have that sort of just while they're sort of figuring out what it is, because it's a lot more sort of on the nose comedy to start off with, and then you yourself tune into it, but they also get more confident with being a bit more Star Trek basically
Yeah.
as it goes on, but you have that sort of curve of,
Yep.
and if you don't have that initial beginning bit of going, is this for me? I don't know. I'll keep going with it anyway. You don't have the payoff when it gets to be like the best Star Trek since like 1993 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my answer.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I get that. I think that works. Yeah, I agree to it. Yeah, I do agree because you are right that season one.
It's
You
not
have
bad. It's great. It's just that
it's
it gets better as it goes on. But you
yes.
need to start at the beginning to have that.
To appreciate how far they've come in such a short space of time.
Yeah,
Brilliant. It's not like Next Generation that took forever to get good. I mean, honestly.
I mean, so a friend of mine has never watched DS9 because he can't get past the first 4 episodes, and it's like I've just said you either need to battle through it or just skip to season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Star Trek was like that, apart from the original series, which was just good from the off. Somehow, I don't know how they managed that.
The 60s, wasn't it? It was a different era.
They were whacked out, weren't they? But yeah, it's good. It's good, Lower Decks. Watch it,
Exactly.
all of it.
So if you had to sum up Lower Decks as a show in 3 words, what would it be to either one of you?
A love letter.
Okay.
That's what it is. This is Mike McCann. What's his name? Mike McCann.
Mike McMahon.
Mike McMahon. Sorry, dyslexic all over. Mike McMahon's love and passion for Star Trek is all the way through this. Very much like Terry Matalas in season 3 of Picard. You can feel that love, that dedication to the franchise there with Mike McMahon. You see that all the way through. And Lower Decks appeals to non-Trekkies, casual Trekkies, and hardcore Trekkies alike. And there is stuff that we will sit there and go through and say, "Oh, there's giant Spock skeleton. There's the Spock hat that they sold in the '60s with the siren on it. There's this, and it's those tiny little details that the artists put in because they're all Trekkies and they know that fans like us would be looking for that sort of stuff. And it's the whole series has that. There was apprehension when before Lower Decks came out because we're like, oh, it's an animated comedy series, it's not going to be as good. But you watch it, and it's like, no, this is just another Next Generation series in the time period that we all love, and it just treats everything with respect, but it also tackles issues head on that have been very much in contention in the fandom for decades, i.e. the events of season 4 and the big baddie. And what's brilliant about it, with season 4, when they go on about it, it's like, he's the big villain, and everyone's going, how are they going to address that he looks like someone else? How are they going to do it? Oh, it's going to be... And they just address it in 30 seconds going, oh, he looks like that person. Oh, I don't see it. And then they move on. Because that's how you do references. That's
I love
how you
that
do
whole
cameos
bit.
And everything.
That whole bit was just brilliant.
But they do it right. And they do cameos right. Like when in season 3, was it season 2 or season 3 where they go to Deep Space Nine? I think it's season 3, isn't it? Season 2. And they get there and they are waiting. I think they were waiting to dock. And Ransom's just like, oh, let's just go around the station one more time. And, they did it the first time, and you get that nice little montage of an animated DS9 with the Cerritos flying around, and music goes quiet. And then Ransom's like, just fly around one more time. And the same scene just plays again as they do it. And it's just, it's tiny little things like that. It's Voyager, seeing Voyager and Tuvix how they deal with that. Just seeing like how casually they do the cameos, where it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, because they exist in the Star Trek universe, they would exist at this time. So of course there's going to be people from Voyager, people from the Next Generation, people from DS9 walking around because they all work in the same organization. They're all going to be going around, so it's not that much of a big deal. And we as fans can freak out, but they do it well. You know, they do it so well where they don't spend 30 minutes going, "Ooh, look, it's Tom Paris. Isn't he brilliant?" And it's just like, no, it's 30 seconds. Oh, it's Tom Paris. Oh, can he sign my plate?
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing they do extremely well are those kind of cameo appearances, and there has been a lot of them as well. You've had Tom Paris and Nick Locarno, you've had Kira, you've had so, and they and then obviously you've had
Riker
and Troy and Grand Nagus, Rom and Lita, so, and it's always, they always put a nice sort of Quark. They always put a little bit of a spin on it as well. And it's just a lot of fun. And I think that kind of sums the show up. It's a lot of fun.
They
also, your 3 words, a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, yeah. That's my 3 words. Sounds like, isn't that a thing? What 3 words, isn't it? You can triangulate somewhere on the map.
They also have a penchant for making beta canon proper alpha canon as well, which I really, really appreciate.
Yes, we know.
What the hell did you just say? What?
Canon.
No, canon. Alpha, beta, what are you talking about?
You got beta canon, which is novels and stuff like that, and then you got
comic books and novels.
Never heard of this.
So things like Star Trek Online are classed as beta canon.
Yeah.
Right.
And then alpha canon is what you see on screen in TVs and TV shows and movies.
So say,
right? So it's a bit like Star Wars with the expanded. Whatever it was. Stuff.
Yeah,
exactly that.
So say, for an example, Riker's ship, the Titan, that was only ever seen in novels and video games, and there was a competition to design his ship for a novel.
Yeah, Sean Taranganu won that one.
Yeah, and then it was it was in the novels. And it was classed as beta canon, but Lower Decks made this ship from a book completely canon and animated it and put it into the show.
He's got it. Look.
Yeah, mine's over there.
Titan.
Yeah. So what was in like soft canon, beta canon in a book that was an image on a book cover, they just brought it into.
Well, that's nice. But also, it's because they're fans themselves and they can sort of, they've read this stuff and they go, well, that is a good idea. And they're probably just cherry picking the stuff that they like.
Yeah.
And also not trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, if there's something already there that's worth almost promoting, as it were, why not?
Yeah.
My three words would be it's more to do with the structure of the show. So it's proper Star Trek.
Yeah,
because
I like that.
It really does follow the sort of unwritten rules of what I consider Star Trek. Allegory, self-contained stories, A plots, B plots. That's something from obviously the Next Generation that came in.
Yep.
And it's something that they've gone away from quite a lot with the other modern Trek, which is fine because there's these big overarching epic storylines and it's more like movies and it's really good. Yep. But I just love that it's bite-sized adventures, but the characters carry on through, so that's like the key thing.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Because like before Star Trek, the original series Star Trek, it's like the Twilight Zone, right, which was the same sort of thing, allegory a lot of the times.
Yep.
But it was just random, different stories each time. And then Gene Roddenberry was like, well, we can do that sort of show with interesting ideas about society and science fiction things, but we have the same characters every week. So the joy is seeing how they deal with it each time.
Yeah.
And it's got that
you get the character progression and
Yeah.
development and that as well, which is your kind of that is your overarching
You just
story.
get it's kind of like there's it's more rewarding than other ones because it's like having your cake and eating it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's both. So you can just watch one episode and be like, that was fun.
Yeah.
Or you can watch the whole seasons and you get a progression at the same time. It's
Yeah.
very good. Very good.
No, fully agree on that one. And I think that's one of the things that kind of sets it apart from the newer Treks.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it's the fact that you can just watch one or two episodes or watch the whole season. It doesn't really matter, and you still understand what's going on. You know, it's not like Discovery, for example, where you could watch episode 1 and come back to it in episode 6. You're like, what the fuck happened? Where, what? And then you got to go remember. Then you got to go and rewatch 6 hours of Star Trek. You know, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. So it's nice that you can just cherry pick those. You know, same with Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds does the same thing. It's episodic. You don't have to watch the entire thing. So how trying to work out the best way of sort of describing this. How do you feel about the fact that the series is a comedy? Because as you said earlier, Mike, that was one of the points of contention a lot of fans had. Is the fact you're going to do a comedy? Don't be so bloody stupid. Star Trek isn't it isn't a comedy. How do you feel about the fact that they have made it a comedy? And I think they've done a brilliant job of it.
I think it's been done brilliantly.
Yeah.
And the apprehension was there because they were like, oh, Star Trek's not really a comedy. It's about hope and it's about drama and this. And it's like, yeah, but it still has that. It still has elements of, it still has drama. It still has emotion. It still has heart. Yeah. It's just, why can't Star Trek be fun? This is Star Trek and Red Dwarf when you look at it. It's about having a laugh in space. It's about taking this property that everyone has loved and them themselves realize that there are hardcore fans that go, you can't do this because in season 1 of the original series, the stem bolt was this color and you've painted it this color. And they're just like, who cares? And they poke in the nicest way possible. They poke fun at stuff like that. And they are self-referential. They become very meta with it all. And Boimler is a representation of Star Trek fans in the Star Trek universe. We see it when he gets promoted and he's getting his new quarters and he's got his little collector figures of Mirror Universe Archer and Data and stuff like that. And he's got his collector plate from Tom Paris and stuff. He is the Star Trek fan in Star Trek. And they just say, look, this is just a show. We love it as much as you, but really you need to look at these issues and just take them with a pinch of salt, or just, don't take it too seriously. And like we said, the whole Nick Locarno, that was a bone of contention for decades, because they were like, Robert Duncan McNeil, he played this person, and then 2 years later, he's played a separate person. Yeah. And so Nick Locarno was going to be in Star Trek Voyager as the helmsman, but they couldn't get the rights to the name from the author of the story, so they just changed the name to Tom Paris, but kept the same actor. So
but they do that all the time. But
exactly.
Spock's dad is a Romulan. Who gives a shit?
Exactly, but everyone was saying like, so, are Nick Locarno and Tom Paris related? Did Nick Locarno change his name to escape the discredited that he had? And in Lower Decks, building up to the episode where they, obviously they revealed him at the end of, what was it, episode 9?
Yes.
The end of fight.
Yes, because it's when Mariner wakes up.
Yeah, and then Old Friends, New Planets, when they go...
No, actually, no, it's the beginning of the episode, because we first get the hint of it, don't we? Because they go after the 5 people that are in danger, and Nick Locarno is one of them. So we get the hints early on in episode 9.
Yeah.
But yes, we actually reveal that
So
he's the baddie at the end. Yeah.
so when that episode ended, and then there was a week of, well, how are they going to address it? They must have a fan. They must have a reason to do this. There must be a great way to justify this. And they're just like, no, they just look alike. And it's just great because something that's a bone of contention for some track. Yeah, but people do look alike. You see it in real life.
Yep.
Get over it. And it's brilliant. But then you look at the way that they fitted Mariner into Sito's story from the original Lower Decks episode of the Next Generation, and it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely. I just absolutely love it, but they just realize that Trekkies and hardcore Trekkies see these, have these questions, have these issues and stuff like that, and they just tackle it. They tackle it head on, but they do it in such a brilliant way that's so out of the box.
But it's
And like
a TV program. Like,
yeah,
like we like Columbo in my household, and every time Patrick McGoohan goes on that and he's murdering someone, we're like, Columbo, you already arrested him. You already arrested Patrick a couple of weeks ago. No, it's not real.
There are fans out there that are very much like the fact that if it has to follow X, it has to follow Y, and if it doesn't, then they really get their knickers in a bunch. But that's the thing that Lower Decks does well is actually I think that's the thing Star Trek as a whole does well. It doesn't linger on those points. It makes a fact about them, gets on with life.
Yeah. What about it being a comedy, right? Like in season 2 of the original series, Gene L. Coon sort of came in and did a lot of changes and made it funny, like Tribbles. And then there's the Gangster Planet episode. It's always been funny. Star Trek 4, the most successful film, is a comedy. Yeah. So that's not the issue. I think it's more that I think it could have initially seemed as a sort of Rick and Morty's popular. We'll do that as a cartoon, as with Star Trek.
And I think a lot of people...
It's just not that at all. It's just not anything like
No. That. And I think a lot of people, when they saw, Mike McMahon's doing it, it's just going to be Star Trek Rick and Morty.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
No. And so, but no, I fully agree with that one. Is there a character that you wished that we'd seen more screen time? Moopsy is definitely there. We need more Moopsy. Yeah. I'm trying to remember whose son it was that voiced Moopsy. It was
all of them. I think all of them. More
all
screen
of them.
time for all of them. If they do some movies, they could do some movies. It'd be great, wouldn't it? Bring them back. Like in 10, 15 years, though, like they did with the original series. So do a movie and they're just like old now. It'd be great.
Old Mariner. She's now a captain. It could work, actually. Maybe we need a time travel episode where they all go forward and, Boimler is captain of the Titan and, that kind of thing. That might be a bit of a laugh.
And that's why the Titan got wrecked and
turned into the Titan. Have they done time travel on Lower Decks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have they?
Yeah. Well, no, not on Lower Decks. They
no, not on Lower Decks. No, we haven't had a time travel episode on Lower Decks.
Yeah.
No, we haven't had a mirror episode either, have we?
Oh no, we did in Prodigy.
Yeah, because even the whales are evil.
No parallel universes or anything?
No, that's what we think of the mirror universe. There's no mirror universe. Yeah. Unless they're saving that for season 5, we will have to wait and see. Because they were, not going to go to spoilers. How do you feel about the season's exploration of the Star Trek universe? Because we have obviously revisited places that we have been to many times, such as DS9 and Earth and XY. So we've done those, but there's obviously lots of new places, like the Bird Planet. And Peanut Hamper marrying
I didn't
Eagle.
mind that. It was random, but I
Um,
didn't mind it.
I thought it was done really well. I think the places that we'd been to before, they respected. They didn't say DS9's now got a 16-foot, 16 deck extension off the back end.
Yeah, yeah,
Which some shows will do. Some shows will do stuff like that, won't they? Go, well, we saw that 6 weeks ago, and like this, yeah, but we decided we didn't like it, so we did something else. I think they respected all the places that had been seen before and faithfully recreated them in animation. I mean, DS9 was beautifully done. Voyager was beautifully done. How do you feel about the way that they've explored the Star Trek universe?
it's good, isn't it? It's very Star Trek. It's very Star Trekky, and
Yeah.
What you said about what you said, Mike, about Brad being a Star Trek fan within the Star Trek universe is kind of like a really great way to make it accessible for Star Trek fans. Weirdly,
Yeah.
So when they do the referential stuff, it's because he's a Star Trek nerd himself.
Yeah.
He just loves all those adventures that these guys went on, the famous sort of Enterprise crew and all that sort of stuff. So that is kind of a great excuse to have those in it.
Yeah.
And then so the really nerdy Star Trek stuff works on that level for that reason. So it's very clever in that way.
I think that's a testament.
It's when they do great Star Trek stuff that's like the mechanics of the show. For example, the caves episode, when they're in the caves and they all go and then have and it's the same flipping set each time, even though it's an animated show and they could have made it cool in a different place. It's like no, they reused that set.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
It's the reference they make in that episode where they go like, "Why do most planets have the same caves?"
Yeah, the flat floor and the little stupid little polystyrene stairs. It's amazing.
And it's like it's on 2 levels, and exactly.
Right. That is so. When they do stuff like that, when they actually do the production of Star Trek, so like that sort of stuff is just great. Really, really good.
No, fully agree.
I love Star Trek, especially earlier Star Trek, had this record of we will do the planet of the week, we will do ship of the week, we will visit this planet, something will happen, we will get through this story, solve it, and then we will move away and we will fly away and we'll never see that planet again. And for me, what Lower Decks did really well is when they did a second contact to the 2 planets that we saw in the Next Generation, season 1 of the Next Generation, where one was dependent on the drugs supplied from the neighboring planet. And for me, it's one of my bugbears of Star Trek, where they go, yes, you did this and you flew away, leaving these people to deal with the shit that's being left behind, and you always want to know, how did they get through that, what happened? And for me, Lower Decks did that exceptionally well, because it was like, oh, this story that happened 30 years ago, we're going to come back. And it was amazing how they dealt with it, because they were like, the actual dealers, they just died off and were taken over and invaded because they had no money and they went into a civil war. But the people that you were supplying to, yes, they went cold turkey, and then they came out more enlightened, more spiritual, and better off for being cut off by Jean-Luc Picard. And it's fantastic, because it just shows it's very much how I compare Space Seed to the Wrath of Khan, where you see the episode Space Seed and Kirk goes, we will give you these containers and we will dump you on a planet, and it would be interesting to see what type of civilization you come into in 50 years time. And then you see the Wrath of Khan, where it's just like, the planet next to us exploded, you didn't check on us, you didn't make sure we were okay, you did nothing, you abandoned us. And I think sometimes Star Trek does that to the planet of the week, and to see Lower Decks have the chance to go back, although it's a comedy, you see that and they go back and they go, Yes, but these are the consequences of Starfleet's actions. These are the consequences of what Picard and the Enterprise crew did. And one of them was bad, but one of them was horrendously good. Or,
Yeah.
you know, the mural. I'll never forget the mural where they're like, the saviors from the Enterprise came down. And then it's just like, in the middle, they're all just like, ha! And then they come out all muscly and enlightened and drinking kale and stuff like that. And it's something that I think we should have seen more of in Lower Decks. We do see Voyager, we do see the space station, but it's just we as Trekkies who grew up with the Next Generation. This is like our second lives. It's like
Yeah.
we've grew up with all these planets and all that. We want to know what has happened. We want to know how things have changed, and yeah, I think Lower Decks just gives fans that element of closure when it comes to certain things.
Yep.
It's like the same. It's very much like the same universe. Like
Yeah.
you could sort of, there's an argument to be made that like Discovery and some of those other ones are kind of more like the Kelvin
Yeah,
Star Trek,
yeah.
where this is
Star Trek.
1,000,000%
Yeah, yeah.
like Next Generation. Universe.
Yeah.
Did they ever go back to the gangster planet in the original series?
No.
No. No, like, but there's never been a story about going back because those guys. What I always thought would be hilarious because Tarantino was going to do that, right? That was Tarantino's script. This is me
Really?
going off piece again. It was the gangster planet, apparently. But I would say it'd be great if they went back and they'd accidentally left like a pad or something, and they
Yeah.
were all fake Starfleet people, and they had like Starfleet people, but they didn't really understand what it was, so they were like a weird parody of Starfleet, the whole planet.
See,
That'd
fun
be
fact,
genius.
there is a very similar episode to that in Prodigy.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Not quite like leaving a pad, but you'll have to
Something
watch it.
slightly bigger. Yeah.
Yes, slightly bigger than a pad.
You're
Slightly
saying I
bigger,
should
yeah.
be a Star Trek writer?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll put you in touch with Dan and Kevin. I'm sure they'll happily have you write an episode for season 3.
I should be in charge of the whole flipping thing. Honestly,
We've all said that. We should all be in charge.
no, really
what
though, I really
Paramount-
should be. Yeah.
What we need to do is we need like all of us fans to kind of donate £5 or $5. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of us. Create a company, Star Trek Inc., and we should have the rights to Star Trek. And out of your £5 a year membership,
It would
that
be
helps
terrible.
publish the
It
episodes.
would be terrible, and the television that was produced would be shockingly bad. Because, to be honest, we don't know how to make a TV show, do we?
No, I mean, no. So we have the rights. The Star Trek Inc. would have the rights, but
Imagine the arguments.
Wars have been fought over left.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it'd be a disaster.
The maroon is not the maroon from Star Trek 3, it's from Star Trek 2.
Star
And
Trek
they're just
nerds. It's like any sort of nerds. We shouldn't
Yeah.
really have any say because as soon as you have say in the stuff that's being
We should
produced
never
here,
have power.
it gets ruined.
yes, no. So
Don't listen to anything we say.
We need to be
Producers of
supervised
Star
by
Trek.
adults.
Honestly, I don't think.
I need an adult. You're adult.
I like to be surprised as well, so I like it when they do stuff that's different too.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so you
agree.
don't want them to just placate us because it'll be crap. There's the end of that little rant. Really.
Do you think that? Okay, I'm going to briefly move this on because I think we could go down this subject for a very long time.
Yeah.
Do you think that the animation style of Lower Decks enhances or detracts from the storytelling?
Both, and I can tell you why.
Go on.
It enhances because they can do stuff just randomly that they can't do.
Yeah, like
because it's cheap.
what's
The
the
Duplas or big aliens or
Yeah.
big giant floating heads and stuff. But it detracts because they're also following Star Trek style a lot of the time. So I like, for example, the movie one, what's it called? What a movie? When they have the movie in the holodeck, the fucking movie.
Well,
What's that episode called?
Crisis Point.
Crisis Point.
Crisis Point. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it goes widescreen and it goes really cinematic, and I'm like, and I just think if they just because it's set up like a sitcom, isn't it?
Yep.
A lot of the camera work. So I think that the rules of the animation world, or the way the program works, or the way it's done, can sometimes limit it. And then when they went off piece and did that, it was like, oh, this is really cool because they're using interesting shots and stuff. But that's just not really a problem. I just think that's the way
No.
animation is, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, that is the beauty of animation. I wouldn't. It's cheaper and easier to do the
Yeah,
wacky things.
exactly. Yeah,
So, to be able to have the koala in space and to be able to have, um,
dolphins.
yes, and moops. Yeah, could you imagine trying to do moopsy in real life? That'd be an
What are the
absolute
dolphins called?
Cetacean operation.
Cetacean
I
ops.
mean, that's just, I love it. It's
Yeah.
so stupid and brilliant, and they wouldn't do that in live action, would
But
they?
again,
So-
It's
was
on all the
something
deck
that was,
plans. Every
Yeah.
enterprise has had cetacean ops.
yeah, but they've never had
No.
the balls to do it. It's
No.
not Sequest, is it? Come on.
Sequest.
Darwin.
Sea Life Center on board the USS Cerritos. Remember, even the whales are evil. Got to get a Prodigy reference in there somewhere. No, I agree. I think, yeah, you it can take away from it, but also I think you can add to it, and you can do the things that
Yeah.
are either extremely difficult or nearly impossible to be able to do in live action.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the other things that kind of sets them apart, that they know that and they play with that as well. So to kind of looking to wrap things up, what are your hopes for season 5, Mr. Goodwill? I'm not going to ask you, Matt, because you've already seen it. So, what are your hopes for season 5, Mike?
I don't want full closure on Lower Decks.
Yeah.
I don't want season 5 to be the last season of Lower Decks. Like Matt said, I'd be happy with a movie. I think Lower Decks is one of those where
we could crowdfund one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll get another plane flying over Netflix. We'll get them to sort it out. They're good. They've got the money. It's
for now.
I am just looking for more love letters to Star Trek, more guests that they don't make a song and dance about in the shows. Because it's what I love about Star Trek, where they just say, "Oh, it's Kira, oh, it's Quark, oh, it's Tom Paris, it's Riker, and Riker's talking about jazz with Troy because it's the next generation era. They're going to be there. So what? I love stuff like that. Achingly combing through every frame of every single episode to find every single reference because I don't have a life.
No comment.
I'm just looking forward most of all to just Lower Decks as just Lower Decks being back.
Yeah.
It is a comfort show. Earlier this year I was working in LA and I was tasked with building it's not Lego, it's Blue Bricks models.
Yeah, knockoff Lego.
Lego.
I've got an Enterprise.
Yeah. I was tasked with building the large NX-01. And it was over 2 days because it's just bad. And I binged Lower Decks all the way through.
Yep.
All the way through. And it was just such a comfort being there. And you didn't have to constantly watch
somebody was supervising you, because if you were at work and meant to be making some Lego and you're watching TV, no wonder why it took you 2 days.
That was my job.
Shocking.
That was my job. But it was, just watching it with it in the background. And the beauty of Lower Decks is very much like the Next Generation DS9. You didn't have to watch every single second of it to know what was going on or to understand it. And you could be busy doing something, look up and go, oh, Ransom's got his top off. right, okay. And then you go on and then, oh, Mariner's doing some crazy shenanigans, or Boimler's having an anxiety attack. And it was just watching it all from start to finish over 2 days. It just reminded me that it is quintessentially the next generation era, and the writers, the directors, the animators, everyone involved understands the material, understands
Yeah.
the era, and are just so passionate about it, and they want to share that passion with the fans. And I think, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, there was a lot of apprehension when this was announced. It's a comedy, it's animated, and it was like, oh no. And it turned out to easily be most fans' most favorite Star Trek show of the new Trek era,
Yeah.
which is a delicious irony, because when you think back to 1987, when the Next Generation was about to air, and they go, this is awful. You've got a bald man as a captain, and he's French, and you've got someone who's
With an English accent.
with an English accent, and you've got a therapist on the bridge. What is this, the 80s? Yes, it is. And then it aired, and then over a year or two, it then became everyone's favorite Star Trek. And you know, season 3 came in with a bang in 1989, and they were like, this is the best thing that we've ever seen. Same with Deep Space Nine, same with Voyager, same with Enterprise.
Well,
with Lower Decks, so
Come on.
Enterprise. Yeah.
Come on.
I will
What if
defend
this Lower
Enterprise.
Decks ends and it's all a fucking holodeck play and writers just having a bit of trouble? What if that's how it ends? And Lower Decks turns out it's just all writers holodeck game.
I'm gonna pitch this now. I'm gonna pitch this now, like I did with season 5 of Discovery. It's a Riker holodeck program, because why not? Go balls to the wall and get Riker and Troy and the Titan going computer end program, just to piss off one fan, just one, just to see them freak out. But no, like I'm expecting more Lower Decks craziness. A little bit of closure, but just leaving that door open, because I think out of all the series, Lower Decks is the one that just we need a movie at least.
Yeah, we need something else. Yeah. Well, I know they're doing a comic series. IDW are doing a comic series of Lower Decks.
Yeah, they are.
So it does still live on in some aspect.
Didn't Brad tweet that it was someone tweeted out it's the final season, and he replied, no, it's the final season on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So that's highly specific.
That is very specific,
isn't it? Leaving the door open. Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, it could just be a case of that they actually realize in 2 years' time that they've kind of made a mistake, and they go with the 6th season.
It could be that Paramount just goes, let's just farm out licensed Star Trek to the streaming services. They may make more money doing that.
Well, it'll all change when this sale goes through anyway.
If it goes through.
Either way, if it does or it doesn't, because at the moment it's sort of like a
bit in limbo,
a bit of a black hole.
Yeah.
Nothing happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, Matt, you have seen it. If you could sum up the season in 2 words.
Great, good.
Perfect. Love it.
I love it.
Love it. Perfect. Is there a specific character that you would like to see in this season coming up, Captain Goodwill?
In this season?
Yeah. Is there a character? Matt looks like he wants to. Is there a character
I've seen things?
Okay. Well, now that could be interpreted in many ways.
I want one thing.
Go on.
Because I think it's been done. And you two could sit there going, eh.
Is it a Tendi Rutherford love story?
No, because that's going to happen. We all know that.
Nobody wants
It's going to happen. Chakotay and 7 happened. This is going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
No way, Jose.
It was done. It was done dirty. I think now more than ever, we need some sort of Enterprise cameo.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need
The Enterprise is a character.
And I'm looking at Matt. I'm looking at Matt, and I'm doing my criminal minds like
He ain't
profiling
getting nothing out of my
of
face.
his face, and I'm looking for the visual cues just to see, Archer,
Just bring your hat down.
Yeah.
Hoshi, Phlox, NXO. What? Yeah, definitely. We're gonna get an Enterprise cameo confirmed.
Any,
right now.
yeah, there'll be
Exclusive.
some kind of.
Look, I'm just winding you up, so it's not. I'm like, no idea.
I don't want to know because I want the surprise to be there when I see it. Like
Perhaps this is where we find out what happened to the Enterprise E.
Which one's
Worf.
Enterprise E? Oh, Worf
The one
did
that
something
Worf
to it,
destroyed.
didn't he?
Yeah, Worf
Yeah.
did something. We don't know what. We did something. What, we don't know. So perhaps this is where we find out.
Very much like Troubles with
Although
Tribbles.
actually,
We don't
everyone
talk
seems
about
to
it
think
without
that
saying
was at the end of season 1 of Prodigy, don't they?
They do,
Because
yeah.
you do see the Enterprise E briefly.
No.
No. Look, I just want more of the same. I just want a great, fun season. We know there's going to be
good
some
story, good
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
good Star Trek,
Yep, and that's all we can wish for. And I think we'll get it. We'll definitely get it, I think.
guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. So Matt, Mike, thank you so much for joining me this week for this kind of
Pleasure.
Lower Decks retrospective, as it were. For everybody watching and listening at home, remember you can join our Patreon from as little as £2 or $2 a month, and that gets you exclusive early access to all of our episodes, and they will always be ad-free on Patreon, as well as extra goodies such as exclusive discount on our merch, and behind the scenes stuff as well. If not, make sure you check out our website, clonestarpod.com, for all the latest news and episodes. But until next time, live long and prosper.
Yeah, I can't do that.